Welcome, everyone, to episode 439 of Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project. As I live and breathe, Bill Dow, Dr. Bill Lee, not Seymour, as some of you believe from Zero Hour. That is a little shop of horrors. Do you have any idea how many ears I had to swat that one away?
Oh, I bet. I bet. I
How
can't
are
even
you,
imagine.
Bill?
But I'm good. I'm good. But it's good. People need to watch more musicals, I guess, so that they know that they get the reference, the pop culture references.
It was my one high school musical.
Aha, there you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly. How are things? What's going on in your world? And have you heard the news that Stargate's coming
I
back?
heard the news. The news, like there's a new series cooking, kind of
Yes,
that
there
news.
is. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Martin Garrow is creator and executive producer. Brad Wright and Joseph Malazzi are
Fantastic.
creative contributors, and yeah, so it's the only downside from the Vancouverites' perspective is it's filming primarily in the UK, and
Oh, yeah.
it's like, all of us were rooting for Vancouver, but at the
Right.
same time, it's kind of one of those double-edged, like, awesome on one hand and frowny face on the other. And I just hope that uh, there's going to be a lot of tickets booked between Vancouver and the UK starting around filming time this September or October, whenever they decide to get going there, because they've got to bring a few people in. That's my hope, but there's no way to tell.
No way to tell. I mean, it's great. I think it's fantastic that the show is coming back, and and it's. I think from what I hear, and I don't know much about it, but
Sure.
a tribute to the fans that it's coming back. That they demanded it, and good for the people for responding to that. And I know there's a big following in the UK. I tell you, whenever I was traveling there in the past, I would get recognized on the street in London or in the airport or whatever. It's like people watch that show over there, and I love it. It
It's
was
a
it
big
was
deal.
great. Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
I've the scope of this franchise is so global, but I don't know what it is that's in the water over there in the UK, but particularly France. Uh, Stargate is still played on primetime.
wow,
There's
wow.
what is it about this American paramilitary series that's stuck in everyone's throat over there? They can't get enough of it. I'm going to France in 3 weeks for the raising of the SGC Stargate replica,
Wow.
1-to-1 scale replica that 150 mostly French and Swiss fans created from scratch over the past 10 years. And it is down to the imperfections in Richard Hugh Dolan's design correct.
Ah, that's fantastic. That's
Madness.
unreal. I didn't know that. That's unreal. That's great.
It's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. What do you think it is? Is it seriously in our water, or is
I
there
d-
is there does it just transcend the human experience, and the French and the Europeans are just more in touch with it?
well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I remember talking with one of the writers, and I can't remember who right now, but he used to write on like serious cop shows that I loved, like NYPD Blue and stuff like
Okay.
that. And I said, "Would he, how'd you come over to sci-fi?" And he said, "Well, I love it." He said, "This is where you get to address the big issues, and
Ah,
you can talk about the big questions, the more scope, more weight, Whereas he said that doing those shows, which I love cop shows, but
sure.
he said it's like doing a soap, really. So he was really excited to come and do this, and I guess that's maybe it, and also there's the frisson of the foreign, to go there. I went to a convention one time in Germany, and there was a mother there and a little kid, and I was so excited, and she was about 10 years old or something, and she brought him over, and I started talking to him. And of course, I don't know any German, but there was a translator and stuff, and then his face just fell, and he kind of tugged his mom, and away they went. And she came back later, and she said, "Well, you've got a different voice." because it's dubbed into German over there. And so I had no idea what kind of a voice I had over there, but it wasn't me. And that kind of crushed him, and that was too bad. But
Ah.
I was fortunate enough. I didn't do a lot of conventions, but I did a couple. I did a couple in the UK
Mhm.
one in France as well. And it was so much fun. And yeah, just great fans all over. So.
I don't, to this day, sometimes know how people can take their precious vacation time and spend it with actors and other Stargate fans, um, who are essentially worshiping is not the right word, but
Well,
you are transferring your energy into it, into this thing that we all collectively respond to. Not to get into vibrations or anything, but
yeah.
there is people are getting something out of it, and I come home and there's a high that you have to come down from.
Right.
Something's going
Right.
on, just like a concert or a sporting
Yeah.
event or anything else. But this one is sustained. This one takes a few days to really wear off. So,
Well, interesting. I mean, talking with people at various events like that, I'd ask the question, like, why do you come? Like, what do you get out of here? And
mhm,
part of it is that they probably met online in some
mhm,
fan forum or something, and we're in chat rooms with each other, and it's a time when they can come together and just
mhm.
hang out together, because oftentimes they're from different places. There's kind of scattered and stuff, and they really enjoy that, and it's great. It's like going to any other kind of a conference or something where with all the I don't know, with water bottle salesmen or whatever, and everybody hangs out and does whatever.
Dental implements.
There you go.
Come get your
Dental
teeth here.
implant.
Yeah, no, but there are, I would surmise there aren't a ton of water bottle enthusiasts who would do that on their spare time. I think that there's not to put
Yeah, no.
your approach to the side at all. There's something that's transcendent about this that speaks to us, and I think that what you said about the writer who had worked on the cop shows is the
Yeah,
key. Sci-fi allows all of the ideas, whereas like a procedural will allow a certain slice of those ideas. It's not just
right.
one thing tonally, but sci-fi really is all of it.
Yeah, and to elevate them, to ask the bigger questions, like big moral questions, right and wrong, and the ethics of things and stuff. And I think that's part of it, and the jeopardy that people get in, that's existential jeopardy in a lot of the episodes, like something bad is going to happen, and how do people respond? So
Hmm.
I think that's I do think that's it. And I was really impressed when he told me that. I thought, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. So,
That's it. Um, how was Stargate like to work with as a cast, as a crew, compared to a lot of the other work that goes on in Vancouver? Or is it all basically like the same kind of professionalism? It's so well established as to contributing so much to the growth of that community up there over the course of 14, 15 years of television and 17 television seasons. Like
yeah,
Vancouver grew up around Stargate,
yeah,
that particular slice of industry up there.
absolutely. And I mean, it evolved too over the course of the time I was on it, and
Mm,
right up into universe. I mean, they developed a fantastic production machine that just and it was very efficient, and the crews were great, and they brought people up through the crews, so that the camera operator becomes the DP, becomes the director, and people started to know the system, and you get to know each other, and you get to know the team, and it was great. And they were also really good. They kept things as much as possible, and were usually quite successful, to a 12-hour day, so that there's other shows that you'd shoot and you'd be there forever, and you'd just go, oh my God.
oh God.
but these guys, they always ran a really great and tight ship, and they made it. They recognized that people had lives, and people have families, and they want to get home, and they want to get home. So it all kind of worked together.
I heard that they really made an effort to design the show to be as much a 9 to 5 for personnel as
Yeah,
possible. Very few night shifts or night shoots,
yeah.
If a lot of that, then it would be often on stage if possible. Tell me about that. Is that accurate?
Yes, yeah, I would say so. And if you're on another show that's, I mean, like The Killing or something like that,
Mm.
it's that when they start early on Monday morning. By the time you get to Friday, your call's going to be afternoon, and that means you're going to go well into Saturday morning by the time you do it. So they call it
Fraturdays.
Fraturday. Yeah, exactly. So
That sounds like
the
someone's personal idea of hell to me.
Yeah, it's not great. And that's why I really appreciated the producers and everybody on Stargate were always really, really good about that. So yeah.
You and I haven't really, I went to check the notes, haven't really talked about the language.
Oh yeah.
What you were asked to do, uh, and it is very similar to what was done on Star Trek, except the Technobabble was not as high and refined to suggest that it's from a few hundred years into the future. It's much more common parlance, Twilight bark, and things like that you got to have fun with. It is still a language, though, and you're conveying information about things that do not exist from a person who doesn't exist to people who do not exist. What into audiences who can only comprehend so much of what it is that you're suggesting exists, but doesn't.
Right.
How do you navigate that Shakespeare in its own way? And how far in advance would you personally want to get your hands on it to read it, or could you deliver same day cold?
Well, I mean, you can, and you get to that place. You get more practiced with it, and it becomes easier as you do it. But obviously, the earlier the better in terms of some of that stuff.
Mm.
Um, and it's interesting. I mean, what you hit on there, like the whole kind of nature of fiction and reality is of course one of the fascinating things about any dramatic form, right? How do you maintain these different levels of reality, and hold each of them equally, so that I am actually sitting there or standing there talking to Amanda, like that's going on,
Yeah,
but at the same time I'm portraying somebody who has a whole different set of
that's right.
fictional realities to somebody who has a different set, and so everything's different. So it's really that calibration that I find exciting. I love that. That's one of the things I love about anything like this. And Stargate, I think, sci-fi takes it up a notch just because it is even a farther reach into the future. But it's holding those different realities and letting them expand the potential for communication, which is great.
You have to believe it on some level, or it doesn't work.
Absolutely, absolutely. You
There
have to take
is
it on for sure.
there is I think the word I'm looking for is you have to be sincere about the approach,
Yeah,
because audiences can tell when you're BSing them.
right.
And I'm curious, did you find that you would have to read, specifically speaking about the technical stuff, the dialogue aloud to really capture it, or could you just read it and memorize that way? What's your approach for dealing with a lot of that? Because that was, let's be honest, the character was was very often a very charming plot forwarding mechanism to get
Absolutely.
things moving forward, and you were brought back again and again because you delivered that well and with sincerity and humor.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it was on this show. There was another show that one of the directors said, "Oh, get me that guy, the Harry the Explainer, get him," and that's what I did. But I think mostly, like, I guess it's an evolutionary process. I think I start silently in my head, but at some point I have to be able to say it out loud so I can kind of hear how the syllables go and the rhythm of it and things like that. But it's a part of the trick is that beyond the words, like in theory, if I was that person, I would
Yeah.
know those words. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to convey it to the other character. I'm trying to get them to understand what I'm saying. I'm trying to get an idea across. So that's more about it. It's more about the intention. Like the words are there and they have to come out quickly and efficiently.
Hmm.
But really what I need to do is I need to get, for example, you to understand what I'm talking about. And I have to be
Mm.
watching to see if you get it. And if you don't, then I got to make the point again. So it's yeah, that's kind of the trick of it, I think.
I never thought about it that way, but that's really true. Not only are you playing another Bill who's conveying the information, you're playing someone who is conveying the information often to someone who is lay in terms of receiving it. So you have to play fiction on more than one level in that regard. I never thought about it like that before.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's like, you have to, as a character, as the character, you have to have an awareness that you're talking in a language that's not necessarily familiar to the other people.
Mm,
And so you have to kind of step them through it, right?
hmm.
I need you to get this because what I'm saying is really important and you need to know this information,
And the
So
audience by extension,
yes, well, yes,
because that's who
exactly.
you're really talking to. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
wild.
triangulate. Yes, yeah.
That's it. Folks, we're live. And if you are in the YouTube chat right now, we are taking questions for Bill. My moderators, Anthony and Lockwatcher, are standing by. So go ahead and drop that in. We're going to get some now. I've already got a couple for you. Do you mind if I share one?
No, go ahead.
Can you talk about Matt 4812? Can you talk about the zero gravity acting in Midway Station at the beginning of season 4 of Atlantis? Was it wire work? How was that pulled off? Were you on one of those stands that allow you
Yeah,
to live
it was
like?
like an arm. It was like an
Okay,
arm. I had a harness on, and then there was an arm. I don't think there was any actual free flowing wires. I'm just trying to remember, but I think it
yeah,
was mostly it's like a long kind of lever thing that you're at the end of, and so somebody's at the other end over here, kind of steering you and getting you to do stuff. But yeah.
that
That was exciting. I got to do all sorts of crazy stuff on this show. It was a lot of fun.
that sounds like a little unnerving to be kind of like a marionette,
Yeah,
like the at the other
yeah.
end of a seesaw.
Yes, exactly. With a pivot, a seesaw with a pivot. Yeah.
Man, oh man. How long could you be in something like that before they'd be okay? Let's let him down. Let's let him get on his feet for a little bit here.
I
Or can
don't
they
even
leave you up there all day?
Well, no, it did. It was like a little bit of a stressor on the old rib cage, but no, they would, it's like anything. They try to give you a break every once in a while if they ever think about that, but mostly they want to get the shot. And they think he'll be fine. No, no, just one more.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Is there ever a back to the dialogue? I remember being on sets on SG-1, and one of the actors, Bridget Prochaska, Carol Appleby, one of them came over to me and they were like, "We want to, you can't necessarily go and talk with this actor right now. They're having a
Yeah.
tough one. They're having a tough day." And it was like, oh, like, and you saw like everyone come around them, um, emotionally, energy wise, and just like the tone was lowered. Like the it was also helping that it was pouring down rain. They brought in soup and everyone was really warm and everything. But
Yeah.
you could feel that they were rallying for this actor because they weren't getting the dialogue right. And you've got 100 people
Yeah. Yeah.
waiting to get this thing to that's um nerve-wracking.
It is. I mean, I think that's where, experience comes in, and that's where you have to find a way to be able to concentrate on what you do and let the other stuff go. But every once in a while, that just becomes really hard, and it invades your life, and you can't get out of it. So yes, but working with a great team, everybody's on your side and everybody wants to get it done, and so I think that feeling that you're referring to, I think that's part of the nature of Stargate. Yeah, for sure.
Were you ever surprised? Did it ever become recitation that, oh, I'm going back to Stargate now? Or was it always a surprise when they brought you back? Because he was stationed at Stargate Command. So
Right. It was mostly always a surprise. And especially like I did the first one, and then it was a couple of years later they called me up and they said, "Oh yeah, well, you're back." And I went, "What?"
mhm.
And so there I was. And that was a surprise. And then they, started sneaking me in more and more. And I was always just really grateful for it, because it was a show that I liked doing, and it was a character that I really liked. And as time went on, they let me stretch the humor of the character and stuff like that a little bit more. And that was always fun. It was a great privilege and honor to be able to do that, to be able to kind of just stretch out a bit, and have some fun.
Where did like Prodigy, Paradise Lost, um, that's not the same character temperamentally.
Right.
He's had something has happened. I just assume that something happened to him in his life where he gave himself a chance to get a life a little bit. The man who confronts Sam for not letting go of a situation in Paradise Lost, the loss of O'Neill,
Right.
is not the same man who greets her when she comes back into our dimension with a loud noise and freaks out. I mean, that's I would just imagine, like, internally, like, he had just learned to lighten up a little bit. And did the character, how much more of the character became you over time?
Well, it did. I mean, and that's a credit to the writers, to be able to pick up on stuff and your personality traits and things that they like to do, and they can see that you like to do it, and so they give you more leeway that way. And I think at first, for those first things, when you're talking about the evolution of the person, I think that was them trying to figure out what the best use would be, for
Mm-hmm.
for this guy. Like at first I'm sure it was just a one-off, and they just wanted a guy who could get some of this stuff out and, be there. Like it was a pretty, as you said, move the plot along, a pretty functional
Mm-hmm.
character. But then and then when they came back, it was a different thing, but it was a stressful kind of situation. And I don't know exactly when, but I remember, I know that they started doing that, and
Mm-hmm.
that they were looking for opportunities, and they would kind of say to me, if we leave the camera running, you can finish the scene some other way, kind of, and see what comes up. And I remember one time, and I think it was around the last episode of one of the seasons, and I had a motorcycle then, and I was driving off the lot, and I think it was Brad Wright. It might have been Joe. I can't remember, but one of them came up to me and they said, "You drive a motorcycle?" I said,
Yeah.
"Yeah." And they said, "Oh man, next season." Now it never turned up, but I was looking forward to that. I was looking forward to my great motorcycle chase scene.
Well, Sam rides as well.
Oh
So, I
yeah,
mean,
right.
conceivably they could ride into work together. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's so funny. That's great. Now, what did you ride?
At that time, it was a Honda Hawk. It was an old
Okay.
kind of it was a beautiful old bike. Yeah.
Do you still?
No, I know
Okay.
there was when my sons were born, there was a pretty strong whisper in my ear that said I shouldn't do that anymore. So
That is so. I hear that so often. I have a Yamaha Super Tenor, and it's a
oh
darling.
yeah.
That's. I'm looking at the timeline here, and I remember Honduras with Evolution 1 and 2, and a lot of the one-on-one beats between you and Michael Shanks. And there is there is humor in those scenes of looking for that. Um,
Right. There you
and
go.
I'm seeing it start to happen there. And then when
Yeah.
you come back in Heroes Part 1 where you're Kevlar does not
Yeah.
protect against staff blasts. That it's slowly working its way in, and before you
Yeah.
know it, you've gone from this to this. And
Right. Interesting.
it's more than just delivering information. The
Right.
the writers are creating a character at the same time who just
Yeah.
happens
Yeah.
to deliver information.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the Honduras, the evolution ones, that was, I mean, that was fun. It was fun to do. There's a lot of kind of little jeopardy here and there and stuff, but
Mm.
it was fun to do. And Michael was great, and we were out there in the woods, and it was a really great time. I remember, I'll tell you one little story there. When we like so the big thing washed us out, right? And then we came up, like, I don't quite remember how it worked, but what they had done was they sank like a container, like from a shipping container, down into the ground. They dug a hole and they put it into the ground and filled it with water, and then they kind of dressed the top of it to look like it was some underground slough or something. And so and the scene shot was we were supposed to come out of there, and they said, okay, so Michael has to get out first, and then we want to worry about you. So don't come out right away. And so I'm going, okay. So we both went underwater. We're underwater. And then so Shanks goes out and he pulls out, and I'm sitting there going, oh, and then eventually I
No
pop
bubbles.
out, and I'm going, oh. I was definitely out of breath. I was going, how much longer do I have to stay down here? So,
Was that one take?
no, no,
Ah.
no, no.
Gosh, did they give? Was
It
there
was
like a
fun though.
handle to hold on to down there to keep you on the ground
Well, yeah, there was
under the
stuff
bottom?
down there, but I had to hold my breath, so I remember the first time they said, okay, you came out too fast. You got to wait until like the waves stop, so you can't see any disturb. So I'm down
Settle
there, and
down.
yeah. So
God,
that
you
was
guys are gonna cut to something else in post. Come on, jeez, that's the thing. As soon as you break that, the illusion is gone. Corn Nemec did 1 minute and 48 seconds, I think, holding his breath.
really
Something he said that he had been more or less, practicing all his life. Something that he was very proud of, holding his breath. And they
right.
cut the shot because one of the plexiglass gold crystals bounces.
Oh my
And
God.
they're like, "Well, we had to cut it there." I'm like, "Guys, go back and watch the show on the Blu-ray. There are crystals bouncing left and right.
Right.
Just keep on
Oh
running
my
the
God.
tape." Oh gosh,
Yeah.
man, what was a day with Richard Dean Anderson like?
Oh, it was mostly a lot of fun. I mean, he was, and especially in what was the Seymour? What was the name of that episode? We
With
have,
the plants.
yeah, with the plants.
So
Uh,
that is 0 hour.
0 hour. We had so much fun doing that. That was just great. And when especially we got those goggles on, and we couldn't see each other, and we just had a laugh. It was great fun. So I don't know. He and I always got along. I loved it. It was always really good. Yeah.
Um, William Aarons, in spite of all the disrespect that Dr. Lee was shown by the other characters, do you feel that you were lucky to not be turned into a gold? I think that would have been fun to have like an evil Dr. Lee, coming in through with all these evil SG-1 alternates in one episode, like shake things up just a little bit. you get the wrong kind of person behind Dr. Lee, and had he had a different bit of a different childhood, you would have a really dangerous character on your
There
hands.
you go. There you go. It makes me think of Princess Bride, you know? It's Wallace Shawn. It's inconceivable.
Oh,
You
that is so
think that
true.
I think that you think, yes, you could become the evil Vincenzi or whatever that guy's name was. I can't remember the character name.
Cyberhawk
Vasily.
99.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Lee played World of Warcraft. Has Bill Dow ever played World of Warcraft?
No, I had to get a quick Cole's notes on that, on what I was talking about for that one. I didn't know, but I they told me that a mage was pretty good, so I
Yeah,
was good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, there's it's technically a class, not a race. I was kind of surprised that Martin missed that. But no, the gamer vibe was definitely there. So
Right. Yeah.
it's a cute scene from the show. Lockwatcher
Yeah.
wanted to know, do you still enjoy performing in live theater, or even work behind the scenes directing?
Yeah, yeah. I still do. I just did a play a couple of months ago at a small theater here, which was it was a new play. It was just the first time it's ever been performed, and I was curious about it because I haven't been on stage for quite a while, and it's one of those things that you don't know if you're going to be able to remember all the lines and do all that stuff, but it was great. I had a great time, and it's similar to this. Part of what you love is the camaraderie and just hanging out with people, and everybody putting their energy towards a common cause, and so that was great, and I love that feeling coming back, and then I did a couple of other I did a pilot for a comedy show this past summer, and which like a sitcom. It was a
Hmm.
dramatic comedy, and then I did another show, and it's fun, and it's especially fun if you get to be part of a team, and that was what was great about Stargate, because after a while you're in, and everybody knows you, and they
That's
and you
right.
know them, and then it's just fun. And it really feels good to be working forward, working towards something together. So yeah.
You are only one of a small handful of actors who not only have been in all three of the live action TV's series, but the same character in all of them as well. Um, I am curious as to how you feel about um, the franchise coming back in the same continuity, and that um, like if this first season of SG-4 of whatever this thing is going to be called goes well, the sky's the limit. Like they could expand it to anything and include more of the people from the past.
Right. Well, I would love that, and particularly because I have been in all three. I was hoping I would get into a bit more of universe, but I
Yeah,
think it would be a missed opportunity for them not to bring me into the
I
new one.
agree. No, absolutely. That the 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 programs, the Atlantis expedition, Icarus expedition, the Stargate Command, we're not talking about a lot of people who know about this thing.
Right.
Um, it makes sense that a lot of this would be kept in the family for as long as it could be, from one successive administration to the next.
You know,
It makes sense that we would potentially see him again. So because he wouldn't be
yeah,
retired yet.
yeah. I mean, I would. It would make sense, and I have no notion, no inkling of
Sure.
what the show will be. So I have no idea. But I would love it if they could find a place, to have some old guy in the corner working away.
No, I'm thrilled that fans have finally gotten their wish, and that it's going to be with people who um, are from the past. I would like to, before we wrap, is there a character from stage or from screen that you have performed in the past that left something with you that you still have, that became a part of you and your story?
Um, well, it's interesting. I think I think there's several. I mean, I think almost every time you do it, if it's something you connect with, you don't always connect with everything,
Sure.
but there's something that does stick, from everything. When I did here's one example. When I did Equus on stage, I played the Dr. Martin Dysart, which is a great part.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah. And it was fun to do, but it was also getting into the the questioning about mythology and religion and how we talk to each other, and and what we do. And it's one of the things that kind of stuck with me. And I guess, I never would have thought of this before, but when you bring up the question, it makes me think that it probably had something to do with me going back to school and doing my master's and then my PhD, and studying classical mythology. It might have been there that it started. I don't know, but
Wow.
it's all kind of part of it, and what you were talking about earlier too, just the kind of levels of fiction and reality and truth, and the different truths that are available in there, like all of that stuff. That every time I do it, I'm kind of, I get stuck in that, and I think, what is this? What is this?
I have read Equus. I've never seen it. How do you crack an egg like Dysart?
I don't know. You just
One bite
gotta.
at a time?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's the questioning and the thing that I loved about that character is his admiration for the boy, who had access to some kind of deeply spiritual, ritualistic experience that the doctor, with his cerebral nature, didn't have, and he admired that, and he goes, I don't know how to get that. That's
This
And so
guy's
there was a quest.
self-destructing in front of him.
Yeah, but it's something that I want. I want that
Yeah.
connection. So it's cool, I mean, it's interesting. I think anytime you're questioning yourself, it's as a character. Like, I think those are the good characters. When writers hit that, I think that's great stuff.
Those are two-handers in that play. How much of your performance lives or dies by the performance being fed back to you, especially when you have a young man who's bleeding all over the stage, figuratively speaking, and just
Oh,
manic, absolutely manic in some cases. Those are not, those are intense nights.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it was great, and it does, it always does. And that's one of the great things about Stargate too, is the performers that you're working with. Everybody's there, and everybody's present, and everybody's got stuff, and they're giving it back. And they'll go on a little journey with me if I start getting a little bit funny or something. And they can calibrate themselves against that or alongside it, or they can be skeptical or whatever, and so it's fun. I mean, but it always is. It's always about the partner. It's always about the
Oh yeah.
relationship, for sure.
Secondhand
Yeah.
media, man. What was your take on X-Files, and what are your thoughts about the new one being greenlit?
I don't, again, like this, I don't know anything about
Okay.
it. I loved doing the X-Files, and David and Gillian. I had a great time with both of them, and I was lucky enough that at that time, when they moved down to LA, I went down there and did some episodes down there, which was great. And it also made me realize I didn't want to raise my kids down there, so I came back to
Right.
Vancouver. So that was a good thing to learn
No,
as
I
well.
lived in LA. I get it.
Yeah,
That was good. It's
yeah,
over now.
yeah,
Man.
yeah.
This has been a treat to be reconnected with you again. It's Lee has always been one of my favorite characters, and it's so nice to watch the growth of a character over seasons, going from just a plot device to becoming
Yeah.
someone that we loved to watch on the screen while forwarding the story. And I think that there is
Well,
a difference.
yeah, David, I thank you for that. And I agree. And it was an equal joy for me to do that, to go on that journey. And I'm so grateful for the writers, for the producers, everybody to allow that story to happen, and the fans. I mean, it was great. And I think I don't, I imagine at the time, because I don't have access to that, but I think people are probably writing in however you can, and saying, "Oh, Dr. Lee, let's have more Dr. Lee." And that's brilliant, because that's very gratifying to me, and I
Of
love that. I
course.
love to be part of that, and if I can create a character that people love, there you go, you're done. Like that's it.
Anything you want to leave us with? Anything we need to be on the lookout for?
Uh, not really. I mean, I'm working away. I did a short film just the other day, and
Yeah.
it was interesting because, I was by far the most experienced person on the set. And I've kind of stepped into a few mentoring roles these days, and I love doing that. I love, uh first of all, having got to a place where I have some experience, and then being able to share it back. So I'm really happy about all of that stuff, and yeah, just going forward. I'm going to be a grandfather soon, so
Oh my God! Congratulations!
thank you.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah.
ah. There is.
Uh,
I've heard there is nothing like seeing your child's face for the first time until you see your grandchild's face for the first time. And then it's like you've unlocked level 11,
yeah,
from a maximum of 10 levels. It's like there is this well of joy and um pure joy that you didn't know that you could have. It's kind of wild.
yeah, yeah. No, it's fantastic. It's an incredible feeling, and again, I just feel so lucky, so fortunate in all things. So very grateful.
Bill, thank you. This has been a
Yeah.
treat.
Thank you, David. Well, thanks for calling.
I'll be in touch with you as we get more information as the show evolves. But
Yeah.
it's been great to see you.
Yeah. Great to see you too. Thank you.
You take care of yourself. I'll wrap up the show on this side.
Okay. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye.
That is Bill Dow, Dr. Lee in Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe. My name is David Reed. You're watching the Stargate Oral History Project. If you enjoy the show and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, do me a favor. Click the like button. It does make a difference with the show and will continue to help us grow. Please also consider sharing the video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, do me a favor and click subscribe. I am so thankful to my Patreons who have provided me an opportunity to continue to do the show moving forward. And it makes all the difference to you guys. Just really appreciate having you out there. We have a few other episodes heading your way this weekend, and then I am going to be taking 3 weeks off. They are revealing in let me see if I can pull this up here while I'm working on this. Just a second. I want to give a brief plug. They are revealing to the public for the first time in Paris, outside of Paris, in Metz, the 1-to-1 scale Milky Way Stargate that has been in development by EMG, the Children of MacGyver, over in France and Switzerland at Metz Tori, 30th and 31st of May, 26. They're going to have photo ops in front of the Stargate, and I have been invited to be a part of that. So Dial the Gate will have a presence there. It is a true replica of the gate. This is actually a digital asset. This is actually not the gate that you're seeing here, but it's one of the coolest things that you will ever see. And if you're anywhere near France, and Richard Dean Anderson will be at the same event, I highly recommend it as well. So the trying to pull up this here. Okay, it's gonna. I wanted to show this off real quick. Here's a look at the actual Stargate. If I can get it, there it is. And it's extraordinary, the craftsmanship that these guys put into this thing. But it's finally going to be on display to the public for the first time. And I hope if you're anywhere near France that you get a chance to see it. My tremendous thanks to Lockwatcher and to Anthony. You guys have done yeoman's work for this episode. Really appreciate your help. And again, to all my Patreons out there, thank you for submitting your questions to, I wanted to call him Dr. Lee. Thank you for submitting your questions to Bill Dow. And thanks to Bill Dow for joining us for this episode. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you on the other side.